What is up everyone, Bigjuicyhog, your Hog of Duty, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my honest thoughts on the whole Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War beta. The good, the bad, and what my plans are when it comes to playing the game. The last video I did, we got into the good first, so this time I'm going to go over the bad. To be honest, a lot of my complaints are still the same. Now I know this is a beta and they can't exactly make huge rolling changes on the fly, but there are a number of issues that desperately need to be addressed before the game comes out, or else it will be off to a rough start. The first on my list of bad will come as no surprise to anyone who has seen my content. It is the skill-based matchmaking. Now I found something that made it slightly more tolerable by just turning off crossplay. For me, I think that they need to add a new crossplay option for console only. If we're being honest, PC players don't want to play with us, and we don't want to play with PC players. The inputs are so different and such a huge advantage for one or the other in different situations. PC players hate our aim assist, and we hate how fast they can snap onto target and the precision of the mouse and keyboard. Just give us the option of console only, please. Even with the crossplay turned off, it still feels like just about every game is a mega sweat fest. I don't particularly want to feel like I'm playing in the Call of Duty Championships on a regular basis. The amount of sliding, bunny hopping, Adderall popping, G Fuel injecting, Cronus Max using tryhards in lobbies is insane. And this is the beta. Not the full release, the BETA beta. The beta is the time when you should be trying out different things and seeing what works. You shouldn't be running around with a maxed out MP5 sweating your ass off every game for no reason. I know that some people have been trying to say, well, players have just gotten better after all these years of playing. No, that is not even remotely it. For every old school Call of Duty player that quits, there's a new player coming in at least. Probably more, as there are tons of people who I used to play COD with that haven't played in years. Even if you go back just a meager 2 years to Black Ops 4, the matchmaking was not nearly as sweaty as Modern Warfare and the Cold War beta. You would get some sweaty lobbies, but you would get noob lobbies too. And on top of that, the lobby didn't break up after every one, so you could choose to stay or go. Anyone who thinks that COD players have just gotten better and that's the reason for the sweat level are delusional. The reason is the matchmaking. Yes, there are a lot more good players, however, if Modern Warfare 2019 is any indicator, there should be more noobs than ever in Call of Duty. If it was the most sold COD in history, that means either tons of new people got the game, or a lot of old rusty players came back to it. Essentially, all noobs. Let's just hope that the matchmaking in the beta was more a symptom of the kinds of people who play betas and not the actual matchmaking. I will say, however, that they should not have the lobbies disband, as it takes away another layer of choice from us. The last thing you want is to take away choices from the players who pay for your game. If I'm being honest, I would rather have supply drops in the game than super thick skill-based matchmaking that we've had crammed up our ass with the last couple of titles. The next problem with the game is one that I'm going to lump together, and that's the hit registration and the lag issues. I know that this is just the beta, but is there any reason a multi-billion-dollar company can't splurge on some better servers? I surprisingly had worse lag this weekend than I did during the PlayStation beta the weekend before. I had a lot more desync, rubber banding, and other connection-based issues than I can ever really remember having in any Call of Duty. Connection is the backbone of any multiplayer game, and another reason why I think that skill-based matchmaking is bad. It doesn't prioritize your connection, which causes a high amount of bullshittery to happen. There were so many instances where I was sitting there slack-jawed saying, "What?" after something happened to me. Many times I would get completely laser beamed by someone, and then on the kill cam, I saw something completely different happen. So many times I shot first, landed first, and then got absolutely destroyed somehow, only to see a different story from their end. As for the hit detection, I've coined a term for what the detection often felt like in the beta. I call it skill-based hit detection. There are a lot of times where the game seemed to say, your aim's a little unfair to your opponent, so even though you landed the first 3 bullets, you now get no reg and your opponent a chance to turn around and kick your ass. Enjoy! It really feels like a lot of these issues could be fixed by simply doing away with the first gripe I had, which was of course skill-based matchmaking. My next issue with the game is visibility. It is just as bad as Modern Warfare in a lot of ways. There have been so many instances where I got killed by someone who I could absolutely not even see. One of the major problems is that all the operators completely blend in with the backgrounds. On top of that, all the operators on both sides are the same operators. Maybe that will change in the full release of the game, but when you have a lobby of 12 people playing Woods, there should be something to differentiate your characters. Sometimes the name tags don't even work properly, and in the time you're trying to identify if you're looking at a friend or a foe, you get destroyed. One thing that Treyarch always did well was make it so character models stood out against the environment. In Black Ops 4, I never had any issues with being able to see opponents. They usually had some kind of red lights on their uniform if they were an enemy, or some blue lights if they were friendly. Probably helped that there were a lot of bright skins available for the operators, but it's also a matter that the game style was bright and vibrant. Not everything was brown, tan, or gray. I think that there needs to be some serious changes to make it more easy to visually identify team members and opponents. I think there also needs to be some adjustments to make some of the levels look a little bit less washed out. More like previous Treyarch games and less like Modern Warfare. If you're looking for a full breakdown on the visibility issues, check out Exclusive Ace's video documenting his experiences to see what I mean. This list seems to be getting a little long for the bad, but I ain't done. The score streaks are still garbage. The streak system has been improved slightly, which is kind of nice, but it still rewards bad players more than I would like. They need to just go back to the old tried and true system from previous games. What was the point of the new one? Maybe they just wanted to try something new, but why? You don't always need new things with every Call of Duty. A few new changes that improve the quality of the game are great. Changing things just for the sake of changing them when they aren't broken doesn't really make much sense. One of the big reasons why streaks are so bad is that they don't do anything. The reason they don't do anything is because they get shot down immediately. The reason they get shot down immediately is that there's a cavalry barrel that does insane increased damage to score streaks. If you're running an LMG class with that barrel, you can take down an attack chopper alone in less than 10 seconds with no help. Add in another 1 to 2 people shooting it and there's no chance. This seems like a very easy fix. Either you remove the barrel from the game completely, or you just drastically reduce the increased damage. Streaks should feel powerful and you should be rewarded for getting them, not immediately punished. One more thing about kill streaks is the UAV spam. They adjusted it somewhat, but it is not nearly enough. You still have to spend an insane amount of time shooting down the spy planes. I don't know how they can possibly fix this problem without getting rid of the current hybrid score streak system. Even if you play terribly, you're still going to get a UAV. If you play decent, you're going to get a few. If you're popping off, you're going to get a lot, which is fine as the good play should be rewarded. UAV spam is going to be a problem as long as they have this streak system in place. So, make sure to have your launchers ready for the release of the full game, because you're really going to need it. Now, the last negative I wanted to talk about, in my opinion, is the snipers. And I'm not talking about sniping in strict sniping terms. I think that snipers aren't actually that good if you're acting like a sniper and hard scoping lanes. The problem right now is the quick scoping. The number of times I've gotten demolished by a guy I started shooting first and then getting quick scoped is completely ridiculous. There needs to be some serious adjustments to quick scoping in game. The fact that there's no flinch when a sniper gets shot is the problem number one. When you shoot someone, especially a sniper, their aim shouldn't be spot on. The second problem is that they added aim assist back to the snipers for the first time since Black Ops 2. I would be perfectly happy with snipers if they balance the quick scoping to be worse and the hard scoping to be a little better. One of the ideas I had, and I posted on Twitter, was that they should make it so if you fire before 0.75 seconds after scoping in, you do half damage. After that point, you'll do full damage, which would completely get rid of the stupid quick scoping. Now, I know this may seem like a lot of negatives, but I have to be honest with you guys. The game has some issues, and they need to be addressed for the longevity of the game. Now, since I'm done pooping on the game, let's get into some positive. The first positive that I want to talk about is the weapons in Cold War. So far, I've yet to find that any weapon is complete garbage. Every weapon I've tried has been completely viable in my opinion, although there are certainly some better than others. As a matter of fact, the only weapon that I got to max level in the beta was an LMG. I found the LMG to be really good for what they are, bullet hoses with some good range. I outgunned some snipers at range sometimes, and I could win most of my mid-range engagements as well. It didn't do well in close, but it's not supposed to. Tried all the SMGs and found them all to be pretty decent, even the burst fire one, which had insane power if you landed your shots. I think that the guns are pretty fun and diverse, but they would also be a lot better without skill-based matchmaking. Part of the fun of having a lot of weapons is actually being able to try them out. If everyone's sweating 24/7, it makes you want to play with the optimal loadout each game, which can diminish the fun for some people. The next positive also has to do with guns, but it is the gunsmith system. The new gunsmith is miles better than the one they introduced in Modern Warfare. They did exactly what you're supposed to do. They took a new system and improved it quite a bit. In Modern Warfare, you had to worry about too many negatives with attachments. In Cold War, the negatives are very minimal usually, or even non-existent in many cases. The customization you have on your weapons is nothing short of amazing. This, in my opinion, is the best weapon building in COD history so far, and it isn't even close. The fact that there is not a pick 10 on the attachments is also a nice improvement in my opinion. Being able to have full attachments on your primary and secondary weapons is really incredible. You don't feel neutered and may keep your secondary instead of picking up someone else's primary for once in a Call of Duty title. The next huge positive for me is the wildcard system. I think that the wildcards have added a nice dimension to building your perfect loadout. For those of you that don't know what wildcards are in the game, there's a special category where you can choose one wildcard to add some flavor to your class. One of them gives you 2 lethals and tacticals. One lets you basically run overkill with 2 primary weapons as well as stacking perks in a single category. One lets you have 8 attachments on both of your weapons. One lets you run 6 perks. All of these are very strong and offer different benefits, and each person will have to decide what they want to do based on their playstyle. I have different classes that are running each one just to see what works best. You may want to run a sniper and an SMG at the same time. You may want tons of perks for your rush class. You may want 8 attachments for the most beefed up LMG in COD history. Well, with this system, you can do all of them. It really added another great level of customization. Another thing I wanted to talk about, may be a little bit against the grain, but the maps in the beta have really kind of grown on me. Some of them have some annoying features, such as the tall grass on Cartel and the overall size of Miami, but overall I don't think any of the maps are bad. I think that they mostly would have been considered upper tier maps in Modern Warfare, although they would probably mostly just be okay in other COD games. Each map has its own flow depending on the game mode. I have fun on each of them for different modes. I really like Moscow and Cartel for kill confirmed, and I like Miami for some of the objective modes. I generally have had fun on Satellite for all of the game modes. The last positive I wanted to talk about was some of the new game modes that they introduced. The first of these was Dirty Bomb, which was more or less similar to something like Plunder in Warzone. You have to transport uranium to different Dirty Bomb sites and then detonate them for points. The top 3 teams essentially get the win. It is a respawn game mode, so dying isn't the end of the road. You can either respawn on your team member or parachute in like Warzone. Basically use your own loadouts for multiplayer so you don't have to worry about scavenging weapons. It's very fast paced and you can have some incredibly exciting fights over objectives. I would highly recommend it. The last mode is actually a returning mode from long ago, and that is the war mode, which is essentially a long tug of war kind of mode. You all fight over a point in the middle, and whoever wins that point, a new point pops up in enemy territory. You keep doing this until one team loses all of their points, and it can go back and forth. I found playing this on Cartel to be incredibly fun. I found that some of the bigger maps were less enjoyable in my opinion. So, what are my overall impressions of the game so far? Well, I am actually cautiously optimistic that it can be a great Call of Duty if they do some adjustments. There were a fair share of frustrating games, but I've had more fun overall in this small period than I did in the entirety of Modern Warfare. If I had to give it a score, where I think Modern Warfare 2019 is a 2 overall and Black Ops 2 was a 9.5, I think this one's solidly a 6.5 to a 7, with the potential to be upwards of a 9 before it's all done. It also has a potential to be worse depending on what happens going forward. Well, that is going to be it for today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed my breakdown. What have you guys thought of the beta overall? Leave a comment down below and I will catch you in the next video.